Hello everyone. So welcome back to one of a build guide, I should say, that I've been planning to do for so long time. Uh, the build guide is for the starter build or what you can play at the very beginning of a league since Path of Exile 3.0 has been launched. Now, before we go through the build and details of the gears that I've been using, let me tell you a few things that what exactly I mean by starter build. So at the very beginning of the league, if you go to your currencies, you'll probably won't have any of these. Okay, so it's a blank start. It's a fresh start, fresh economy. So you need to do something by which uh, you can at least clear the story mode of the game and comfortably, and at least to reach around halfway mark of the tire levels of the map, like say 7 or 8 at max. Starter builds generally do not aim much higher than that because of the fact that they are, you know, starter builds. So which means they have to be cheap, yet they have to be reliable enough to, you know, complete the game and to give you some currency to start with. So generally, what is the thing, what is the way that Path of Exile players or experienced players they play is that they plan one build which they are really interested to play, but at the beginning they do not play. They play a certain bread and butter kind of a build through which they at least gather certain amount of currency, because you need to have certain gears, certain uniques to actually, you know, complete that dream build of yours. Gear we can obtain mostly for three ways. One is um, we complete the content, we do the end game grinding, and through mapping or any other quest, we not quest any other drop, we get the item. Second, we can craft certain items. Not every item can be craftable. Again, I mean, there are a few uniques, they are very based on so less percentage of chance that it doesn't make any sense to, you know, do any crafting for them. So if I am to say the third one, which is probably somewhat efficient, is to trade the item from another player. So for example, one unique that I'm using. So I'm using, let's say, this one, Doriani's Catalyst. Now, someone might have got this one through drop or somewhere, but he is not using it. Okay, so it's basically biting dust in his inventory space. So what he does, he generally puts this up for trading. So if someone else who needs it and has that required currency, which I think that this should be priced off, they can have it. That's trading generally. So in order to start trading, you need to have at least certain amount of currency. But when we say that we are starting a league fresh, you have absolutely no currency to do anything. So, getting back to the same point, for starter builds, you generally tend to have a character which would complete the story. Now that we have a full Act 1 to Act 10 playthrough, so you need to have a build which is reliable from Act 1 to Act 10. Okay, and can also farm just a bit of currency for you to start your actual project for that league, whatever that you have planned for. This is my starter build for this league. So my other character which I really want to play is would be a Uberlab farmer character, which I'll probably talk in a separate video altogether. Because this league I have focused mostly in farming the Uberlab and to gather so much wealth as I can. I'm not at this moment focusing on completing each and every content that game has to offer, right? There are lots of content, very hard, very difficult content, which I don't know. Maybe I do not have that skill. Maybe I will not gather enough currency to create such build. I really don't know, but I'm not targeting them. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't, I really don't care. My main objective is to farm the Uber Labyrinth periodically, and my actual character for this build is already in progress. It's around level 27. I'll make a separate guide for that one as well, because that requires a certain special take caring of your character, because Uber Lab is filled with traps and things like that, so you need to have a solid mitigation, yet you still need to inflict enough damage to kill Izaro fast enough, otherwise there's no point. So getting back to my starter build, this is a Templar character. As you can see, it's at level 80. I could level it much higher than that. In fact, I have planned it to level around 82, 83, no more than that. It has served its purpose. So if I go to the currency stash tab, you can see I have at least some amount of currency to trade with other people. Not much. It's not. I'm not a big rich person in the game at this moment, and especially considering my daily playtime of 1 hour at max, or maybe 1.5 hours at max, I say I'm pretty doing nice, because most of the people they farm a lot faster. Now again, for starter builds, farming faster is probably not a good option. I mean, of course there are certain few characters which can farm faster. Farming faster means you are clearing the maps fast, you're clearing the mob faster. This build has a decent clear speed. It's not super fast, it's reliable, it's tanky, it can survive pretty much most of the things that up to tier, I think I tried up to tier 6 maps. So tier 6 is like just around about half away, not entirely, because we have around tier 16 maps, so you could consider tier 8 to be just at the middle. So I again do not intend to do high tier content at this point of time, especially with this character. But this one is for the people who are relatively new or absolutely new to the game and want to, start a fresh new league in 3.0. Uh, it's like I said, it's a Templar. Is this a yes? It's a Templar, and it's a, I think, what was it? It's Hierophant. I think so. Yeah. No, not Hierophant. It's the other one, the elemental one. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, the point is that it mostly deals on the elemental damage. My skill is Firestorm. Firestorm generally is an AoE based fire spell. Um, it deals a lot of fire damage. It's linked with spell echo for more cast speed. Then fire penetration, then control destruction, and finally elemental focus. Now, when you use elemental focus, you lose the chance to ignite your enemies, which is fine for this build because I'm not really, looking into igniting people and burning them alive. So most of my skill tree, if you could look into it, is based on elemental damages. Like here is some elemental damage, here is some elemental damage, and rest of them are like fire damage. There's some elemental damage here, some fire damage here. Now you can see that I have actually left off the ignite chances and burning. Now this build can be played as a burn variant as well, so you could start inflicting the burns and heavy burns to the enemies and finish them off, but I decided not to go for it. Instead, I went with pure fire damage and fire penetration. Now, the skill utilizes a couple of keystones in the passive tree. So, one is notably the elemental overload. So, as long as I crit within the last 8 seconds, I will have more around 40% more elemental damage to whatever that it is, be it an attack, be it a spell. I'll have more 40% elemental damage, but I lose the damage multiplier, crit multiplier for both ailments as well as for the normal crits. It is kind of like the a resolute technique for spells, maybe, because in resolute technique is also like that. Every time, I mean, you will always hit. Your hits will never be evaded, but you will not be able to deal critical strike anymore. So basically, it's like building up flat fire damage as much as possible and then go for the penetration. Uh, in this regard, however, I would like to point out one thing is that you could take elemental equilibrium. So in that case, you will have, like, if you say hit the mob with cold or lightning damage, you will you'll put their fire resistance to minus 50%. So this minus 50% resistance will again add as a more multiplier to that, and coupled with your fire penetration, so this will also add as a more multiplier. And as you could see, let me just give you a neat small setup. So I'm using Orb of Storm, Curse on Hit with Flammability. Now Flammability also will reduce the enemy fire resistance by, at least in my level 18 Flammability, will do it by 42%. So straight away, as you can see, if you hit an enemy with this enabled, elemental equilibrium enabled, you will have uh, minus 92% elemental fire resistance for your enemies. Right, and also coupled with fire penetration and this more elemental overload, it creates a devastating effect on the enemies. Right, so they will virtually have no, they will take huge amount of fire damage. Right, and yeah, I mean, they'll be dead pretty fast. So, uh, mm, the reason why I didn't take this one is because it kind of goes with your playstyle. So you have to, for example, I'm using Orb of Storm. So basically, what would happen that I need to be placing an Orb of Storm really quick so that it can start hitting the people. Then I have to start casting the Firestorm, my primary skill. Okay, now coming back to my tree once again, apart from the fire damage node and elemental nodes, I had to take a bit of an increase of area skill nodes with some area damage. As you can see, I have taken amplified there. I have also taken blast radius there, so they increases the area of effect of the skill. Also, the damage output. Now, if you could see it there, sorry, my bad. So this is a pretty large area, especially when you are clearing the map. So that is one. And also, uh, what was that one? Right. Also, apart from taking the life wherever it's possible, like here, some of the lives I've taken from here and here. Initially, I was thinking I would go by the cast speed, but later on, I ditched that idea in favor of more life. I've got some life here, some life there, some life there, and I have also grabbed or tried to grab this iron life wheel, so that'll give me plenty of life. And on top of that, since basically it's a spellcaster character, they generally do not have, you know, much of a mitigation, so to speak of. So it's more of an intelligence based character. So either you thicken your energy shield as a mitigation, and or as I have done, you can probably go with Mind Over Matter. So Mind Over Matter says that 30% of damage is taken from your mana before life. So this mana pool, which as you can see, it's 1.7k mana is there. It actually takes the 30% damage flat from the enemies, and the mana drops before your life drops. So it's a bit of a comfort zone for my character. It can survive a significant amount of damage before it's actually dying. So that's mind over matter, and also I've taken the other mana nodes behind that mind over matter node, so to boost the mana pool as much as possible, because obviously as a spellcaster I probably won't be needing that much of mana. As you can see, my mana cost is only 82 and I have 1.7k of mana. So yeah, like, so that is why it's, from spellcasting point of view, it's not that of an issue. But the reason why I do that is because I want to implement the mind over matter. Okay, so apart from that, there are a few uniques that I thought that I should be using. Let me show you my inventory. One is essence worm, which I initially thought that I'd be using. So as you can read, it says the +2 of socketed aura gems. I have socketed the anger aura gem, which adds flat fire damage for my tree to amplify and work on it to my spells. So it's a huge damage boost. But as a matter of fact, socketed gems reserves no mana, and as a downside of it, it increases the mana reservation for any further aura gems which are not also socketed in essence form by 40%. So that's a significant. Now, the reason why I took this essence worm ring is because of the fact that I would like to use, where is it, this cobalt jewel. Now, as you can see, Clear Mind says that 24% increased mana regeneration rate with a special modifier, that 41% increase spell damage with no mana reservation. So that is the way I'm also trying to amplify the damage output of my Firestorm spell. Since Essence Worm is prohibiting me from reserving any mana from the mana pool, this 41% kicks in there. As a matter of fact, I also use another aura as a secondary aura because my default mana regeneration is not that strong. So I use Clarity. But the thing is that if I use Clarity in some other blue socket, it will reserve mana from here. Right. Be it 40% more mana reservation or not, it will still have some mana reservation here, so I will not the benefit of 41% increased spell damage from this Clear Mind unique jewel. So what I did, I used this Prism Guardian, which has similar sort of properties like the Essence Form. So it is also having +2 level of socketed aura gems, and the socketed aura gem uh, have blood magic. Now, blood magic is something which reserves or uses the uh, life pool instead of mana pool. So, what is actually happening whenever I'm using, as you can see, 246 of my life has been reserved from my life pool, and that is because of clarity. As I'm running clarity, as you can see, that 246 mana is reserved. Okay, so for my around 4.2k life, 246 life doesn't matter that much, especially when you are also running mind over matter. But it allows me to have a full unreserved mana pool for my clear mind to use. This one actually came a bit later in my mind. Initial builds doesn't include this one. So, and also I have the cast when damage taken in mortal call, just in case. Won't do much apart from, I mean, unless you have say endurance charges or increased duration support gem linked to it. But anyway, at least it'll give me what's my base time of it, uh, sorry, zero point 0.4 seconds of invulnerability from physical damages, but that'll do for a while. So that goes for my you see, uh, the uniques that I've mostly been using.
So, as I was saying, that the starter build that I have created for this league is pretty cheap to start with. I mean, you can invest further. For you can, as you can see that I'm using only a simple 5 link. So you can add, let's say, a belly of the beast, maybe 5 link, maybe 6 link, based upon the currency that you are willing to invest into it, and maybe you can push it much higher than that. So I feel that this is one of the simplest builds that you can start a league at this point of time, that too with very minimal um, investment. Of course, you do not need Doriani's Catalyst or Essence Worn, to be honest. You can also reserve your mana and you can carry on with it, because I just did these upgrades very recently, not before that. So you can just simply use a 5 link +2 to the fire gem staff for the spell casting, and that would be it. You can complete the story, and you can complete few of the map tiers from the beginning. So I feel by that time, if you grind a bit more, you can have certain amount of currency, then you can switch to your main character, or you can choose to invest into this character as well. That's up to you. So just to show you how the clear speed and all that is, I'll just fire up a small oasis map, nothing too big. It's not a, it's a low tier map, but let's see how it works. Okay, so let's see if I can roll something better than that. Okay, this one seems fine. Let's run it. I fire my golem, my anger, and that's it. As you can see, it's nothing fast as of now, but it does its job somewhat decently, I would say. Yeah, I mean, you can see that for a Tier 2 map, things die pretty fast. Okay, we have a Harbinger here. Oh my god. Wow, it's done. The divination distance actually gives me a good boost to my resistance, to be honest, because it has a, I believe, +4 to the maximum resistance. What is it? Yes, +4 to all maximum elemental resistance while the flask
You
effect
there.
is there.
Let me bend your ear for a moment.
No, sir, not now. As you can see, it pretty much goes through with it. No issues with that. Not a very extremely high clear speed, but take too much time to kill the boss. I'll sell it for vendor. Obviously, it's a completely trash unique. You could also use the Val lightning trap to increase your damage further. But as you can see that for this particular map, since it's not that high tier of map, I didn't require that one. It's pretty, in my opinion, pretty easy. So there is another Harbinger here, which we'll try to take on. I mean, it just shows that, in spite of being a starter build, it still can, you know, carry on with its work. Yeah, I mean, not that easy to kill, and especially with the combination of mind over matter, it really shows pretty well. So that's it, guys, for my starter build that I want to showcase. Should you need any information about this thing, about the path, about the gears, or anything special, please let us know in the comments down below, and we'll be happy to answer you. Thank you for watching.